Viveka Chudamani. To this the disciple replies, O Master, after rejecting the five sheaths as unreal, I find nothing remaining except the void. So what is there to be known as I, as the truth of the self? The Guru replies, O learned one, you are skillful in discrimination and have spoken the truth. The rule of inquiry or perception is that which is perceived by something else has the latter for its witness. When there is no agent of perception, there can be no question of the thing having been perceived at all. Accordingly, the self as awareness cognizes not only itself but also the existence of the ego with its various modifications of the transient names and forms and their nescience. Therefore, it is the self which is their witness. Beyond it, there is nothing to know. It is aware of itself through its own effulgence, and so is its own witness. It is single and immutable in the waking, dream, and deep sleep states. It makes itself known as being consciousness bliss, and is self-effulgent in the heart as I. Through your keen intellect, know this eternal blissful awareness to be the self or I. The fool takes the reflection of the sun in the water of a pot to be the sun. The wise man eliminates spot, water, and reflection and knows the sun in the sky as it really is, single and unaffected. But illuminating all three. In the same way, the fool, through error and misperception, identifies himself with the ego and its reflected light experienced through the medium of intellect. The wise and discriminating man eliminates body, intellect, and reflected light of consciousness and probes deeply into his real self, which illuminates all three while remaining uniform in the ether of the heart. Thereby, he realizes the eternal witness, which is absolute knowledge, illuminating all. It is subtle and all-pervasive, neither being nor non-being, with neither inside nor outside, and is self-effulgent. Realizing this, he is set free from the impurities of the ego. He has no more birth or death. He is free from sorrow and becomes the immutable essence of established peace, bliss. The Jnani who, through experience, has realized his self to be the Brahman, as it really is, as truth, knowledge, endless bliss, the single essence, eternal, boundless, pure, unattached, and indivisible, not only does not return to bondage, but is that Brahman in itself, the Dvaita. That is to say, that knowledge of the identity of the Brahman and self is the prime cause of release from bondage. For him who aspires after liberation, there is no other way of release from bondage but knowledge of the identity of Brahman and self. Therefore, you too, by your own experience, know yourself as always, I am Brahman. Brahman am I. Brahman alone am I. Since there is nothing other than Brahman, it is the supreme Advaita. The pot which is made of clay has no other form than that of the clay. No one can show the pot except by means of the clay. The pot is only a delusion of the imagination and only exists in name, since it has no other reality than that of the clay. Similarly, the whole universe is a superimposition of form on the Brahman, although it seems to be separate from it. The substratum of Brahman appears through the delusion of the superimposition. The latter is really non-existent, like the serpent seen in the rope. The manifest is only an illusion. The silver seen in the substratum of the mother of pearl has no existence apart from it, but is the mother of pearl itself. Similarly, manifestation has no existence apart from the substratum of Brahman. Whatever, O sadhu, appears to the deluded as the manifested word of names and forms on account of their ignorance and wrong knowledge, whatever objectivity appears as real, all this, when truly realized as it is the effect of Brahman and is superimposed on the substratum of Brahman. Only owing to delusion it appears to be real, and it is Brahman, its substratum, which appears to be superimposed on it. Really, all these names and forms are nothing at all. They are a myth, pure and simple, and have no existence apart from their substratum of Brahman. They are nothing but the being consciousness bliss, which neither rises nor sets. If it were contended that the manifested word has any existence apart from Brahman, that would impair the infinity of Brahman. It would also contradict the authority of Atharva Veda, which declares in unequivocal terms, all this word is indeed Brahman. It would also make out the omniscient Lord as having uttered a falsehood when he said, all these elements are not in me. I, the indivisible whole, am not in them. The Mahatmas who are true sadhus would not countenance these contradictions. Furthermore, the outer world does not exist in the state of deep sleep, and if investigated, it is seen to be unreal, like the dream world. Therefore, any such statement made by fools as that the manifested word has its own existence apart from its substratum of Brahman is as false as the idle words of a man talking in his sleep. It is Brahman itself which shines everywhere, uniform and complete. This truth the enlightened Jnanis know as the one without a second, formless, inactive, unmanifest, never to be destroyed, having no beginning or end. It is truth, absolute purity, the essence of pure bliss. It contains none of the internal differences which are the creation of Maya. It is eternal, continuous, immaculately pure, spotless, nameless, undifferentiated, self-effulgent, beyond the triads of knower, knowledge, known, absolute, pure, unbroken consciousness, ever shining. My beloved disciple, this self can neither be held nor given up. It is beyond perception and utterance. It is immeasurable without beginning or end. This infinity of Brahman is my self, and yours, and that of other individuals. Great texts such as Thou That Thou Art reveal the identity between the Brahman known as that and the individual known as Thou. The identity is not shown by the literal meaning of that and Thou. The literal meaning of that is Ishvara's Maya, which is the cause of the universe, and the literal meaning of Thou is the 5 sheaths of the ego. These are non-existent superimpositions, the cause and effect of non-existent phantoms. Their qualities are opposite to each other, like the sun and glowworm, the king and slave, the ocean and the well, Mount Meru and the atom. There can be no identity between Brahman and the individual in the literal sense of that and though. And it is not in this way that the scriptures postulate the identity. The science of the secondary meaning of words is called Lakshana and is of three kinds. The first is called Jahat Ajahat Lakshana, and the first primary sense of a term is rejected and the secondary retained. In the second, the primary sense is retained and the secondary rejected, and in the third, the primary sense is only partly rejected and partly retained. Of these three, we can omit the first two as being of no use for our purpose and take the third. The third one is the primary sense is only partly rejected and partly retained. According to this, in a text such as "He is that Devadatta," we eliminate the contradictory aspects of Devadatta manifested at different places and times and concentrate on the identity of Devadatta himself, irrespective of place and time. Similarly, in the text in question, we eliminate the non-existent, objective, contradictory attributes of that and though as not this, am I. You can do this on the authority of the Vedas, which reject the duality superimposed on Brahman, and also by your own intelligence. If attributes such as a shield for a royal person and a badge of ownership for a slave are removed, both alike belong to the genus man. Similarly, the text about that and though declares the natural identity between Ishvara and the individual in their residual aspect of consciousness, apart from the form of Ishvara and individual. There is no contradiction in this, since consciousness is the unbroken, single essence of both. Through the touch of Mahatmas, know this blessed identity of Brahman and Self by rejecting as not I the non-existent body. Know by your own clear intellect that Brahman is yourself, self-existent, subtle as the ether, ever radiant, true, awareness, bliss, indivisible and whole. Truly, thou art that, the self that is non-dual Brahman, pure and exquisitely serene, the truth apart from which nothing is. This is so because even in this waking state, the word and the body with its sense and the ego, which owing to ignorance seems to be separate from the self and the life breath are pure myth. Thou art that because in the dream state, time, space and objects and the knower of them are all created by sleep and are purely illusory. Thou art that because this whole world emanates from Brahman, which alone is and is Brahman itself, just as spots come from clay and are clay itself and indeed are made of clay. That Brahman is untouched by the sixfold changes of birth, youth, growth, old age, decay and death. It has no caste or custom, tribe or family, name or form. It is without attributes. It has neither merit nor demerit, neither mental nor physical afflictions. It is free from the six evils of hunger, thirst, sorrow, delusion, old age and death. It has no time, space or objectivity. It cannot be described by words. The gross mind cannot reach it. It can be comprehended only by the eye of wisdom and experienced in the heart of the yogi, in his very being, not by the use of any organ. It is the substratum of the illusory word that seems to be superimposed on it. It is the cause of emanation, perseveration, and reabsorption of the word. It is the supreme cause which itself has no cause. All the words of name and form are its effects, and yet it is distinct from cause and effect. It is distinct from being and non-being. Although owing to delusion, it appears like gold in its varying aspects of name and form and its modifications. Yet it has no name or form, no attributes or modifications. It contains no disequilibrium. It is still like a waveless ocean. It is eternal, formless, spotless, incomparable, ever free, indestructible, pure, without beginning. It is that beyond which there is nothing. It is complete, not compounded of elements or of parts. It is being, consciousness, bliss, uniform, indivisible bliss. It is single in essence, that Brahman which is all this, that thou art. Meditate on the truth of this in your heart continuously, without break, calmly, with reason and keen intellect. Thus you will obtain essential knowledge free from doubt, as clear as water in the palm of the hand. Knowledge in the body with its faculties is like a king in the midst of his vast army, and that knowledge is the self and is Brahman. Know this by discrimination. Regard all other separate things as this itself, and remain ever as this self. Thus remaining, you will attain bliss and peace of being. In the cavity of the intellect is the single truth of Brahman, distinct from being and non-being. He who remains eternally as that truth itself is never drawn back again to birth in the body.